Today we're going to be breaking down the exact strategy that I use that has increased my conversion ratio by almost 3 times while making commercial real estate cold calls. Hey everybody, my name is Henry Eisenstein. I'm 29 years old and I've been a part of over $500 million worth of real estate transactions, and I make this content just to help you guys make as much money as humanly possible. I want to dive into a specific strategy that has helped me make millions of dollars in the commercial real estate business that I like to call my pivot strategy. And this is all about how you can adjust when you're making your cold calls as you're prospecting for sellers to go from a seller conversation to a possible buyer conversation amongst many other options that you have to sell when you're over the phone. So let me break this down. While you're making your cold calls, prospecting for your seller leads, as you should. By the way, if you have not yet downloaded my free script book, it's in the description down below. Make sure you check that out. So let's just walk you through the process. You're making your calls, and on the very opening line, you're going to say something like this. My name is X, Y, and Z, and I work with X, Y, and Z brokerage, and I was just calling to see if you might consider selling your property. Something along those lines. Let's just say they say no in this instance, okay? Because if they say yes, you're going to dive right into all the other questions that I have in the script book. Pretty easy phone call. But when they say no, what do you say now? So when they say they're not interested in selling, first off, I want you to know most of the time, a no is just a knee-jerk reaction. So it's not actually no to you. It might be no, not now, no, I don't know enough. There's a mixed bag of responses that I want you to be thinking about that are going through their head when they say no to the question of if they're open to possibly selling the property. In your head, I don't want you to get caught up with the idea of maybe these people aren't going to actually sell their property with me. It might just not be this very moment, right? It might be over a longer period of time. When somebody responds with no, I want you to know, do not just hang up. Do not just end the phone call and move on and think that, oh, I'm never going to do any business with this person. My best advice has been from many mentors of mine who go, as soon as you get that no, you want to ask at least one more time in a different way. So if you say, would you be open to selling your property? Then they say, no, thank you. It would be like, I can completely appreciate that. I am just curious though. If I were to get you a price, maybe even more than you thought, would you at least be totally against receiving an offer on your property? This turns us into a different type of question. Instead of would you be open to selling your property, which is again a quick just yes, no, you're gonna be shifting it into, would you be totally against hearing an offer? When you say, would you be totally against hearing an offer, most investors, most individuals who own property are typically never against hearing an offer. And this at least can open up the conversation into further details about the current situation that they're in, and maybe even open up the possibilities of you possibly selling the property down the road. What I want to make sure we detail and we completely outline here is the pivot strategy and how it works so effectively. So when somebody says no to you and you do go for that one more question, you're now left with someone who goes, listen, I'm not really interested in selling, thanks. What you're going to do now is you're going to learn the pivot strategy, which is instead of talking to them as a seller, I want you to pivot and initially go after them as a buyer lead. So it sounds like something like this. I can completely appreciate that, no worries at all. I am just curious though, if I happen to come across an opportunity, a deal, a property that's similar to the property you have at 123 Main Street, I was just curious, would you be totally against buying another property? And then obviously you can be quiet. Like my favorite thing is the whole say your statement and shut up and listen, because the next person to speak is typically the one who's being sold. When you say something like that, you're going to be opening up this whole new door of possibly being a buyer lead. So they might not be a seller lead. They might end up being a buyer lead, and a great buyer lead. This is exactly how I've built relationships with dozens and dozens of my best investor clients today, was using this pivot strategy. It started off with an absolute no about selling their current property, and we've gone on to sell multiple properties to these individuals over time. So realize that this is exactly how you can unlock golden opportunities of working with fantastic clients. When someone says no, you pivot first into the buyer lead question. Then when you open that door saying, would you be totally against buying another property similar to the one you have at 123 Main Street? What this now allows is the ability, the possibility of working with this individual in a different capacity. Now you can work with them as a possible buyer client. Let's just say they say no. Let's say they're like, listen, I'm not interested in buying anything else. It's the only property I have. I'm good. Listen, John, I can completely appreciate that. I am just curious, when we were initially talking about your property at 123 Main Street, just was curious, is that property at 100% occupancy, or do you happen to have any vacancy? So what you're doing now is opening a possible third door of working with this individual. We are always in that one lens of, I'm going to go list this property, I'm going to go sell this property. This is my one focus. When that door shuts, you're now going to pivot into the buyer lead. You open that second door. You're going to try try to see, it's like, hey, if I brought you another property similar to the one you have at 123 Main Street, would you be totally against buying another property? That's going to open up that second door. And if they close that door and say, hey, listen, I'm not looking to sell, I'm not looking to buy, it's a no for both, then you can say, when we were speaking about your property at 123 Main Street, I just wanted to clarify, was your building at 100% occupancy, or do you happen to have any vacancy for a possible tenant? So what that does now is this opening up that third door is giving you now yet again another opportunity to work with this client in some capacity. Now this individual might say, yes, we're at 100% occupancy, I appreciate the curiosity, but we're good there, thank you. So I can completely appreciate that. Last question before I let you go, is there any other professionals that you might need connections with, right? Do you happen to need a commercial lender for possible refinancing as we finally come down in the interest rates, or do you happen to need a property manager or a contractor to help you out with any of the work around the property at 123 Main Street? And you're gonna ask that question, which is yet again another opportunity, another door that you're opening for the possibility to work with this client in some capacity. So what you're doing now is providing more value to this individual. And then if they say, like, listen, I'm good, I don't need any professional support, listen, no problem at all. Lastly, before I let you go, would you at least be at all open to me doing a valuation of your property, give you at least some detail of what your property might be worth in today's market? At least this way you have some information. We can discuss some things, this way you have it. Yeah, I know who I am and know that you might have a local professional in the market that you can trust if anything might come up in the future. Is that okay? Right? And then going in that route where you're just providing value in any capacity possible is yet again another door you can open. So this pivot strategy now unlocks 4 extra opportunities of you working with an individual in some capacity other than just working with them as a seller client. So let this video be a reminder that the first no just allows you to open the next door, and so on and so forth. So guys, I hope you appreciate this video. If you have any questions about any of the opportunities we've discussed today, make sure you go in the description down below, leave me a comment. I make sure I read every single one of them. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can go and email us at info@henryeisenstein.com and check out all the free resources in the description down below. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.